everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial from the Age of Darkness, and today we are painting a Blood Angels Leviathan Dreadnought. Yes, this is the chap that's available from Forge World. He's resin, he's awesome, he looks fantastic, and we'll be painting him up for you today. Very exciting. Had this one in the queue for a while. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start by priming him, which we've already done, and I've been primed him with the new White Scar primer. It looks fantastic. It's nice and bright, awesome place to start from at the very kind of brightest point from Games Workshop. Then we can work our way down until we get to the paint places that we need to get to. So, the first colour we're going to be using is Iron Warriors. We're going to be using this on all of our kind of mechanical metallic details. So this is going to be areas such as the kind of the frame of our dreadnought, like that. Now really there's not much science here to this, just want to get this Iron Warriors all over all of these details. If you do need any help, do just check out the product photography on the Games Workshop website, or rather on forgeworld.com. They've got those awesome spinning 30-degree shots of these models for you to be able to see colour placement. But otherwise, you just want to work on getting this across all of these details. We're starting with this because we don't want to start with the armour and then have to pick these out afterwards, because that would be annoying. So with all that Iron Warriors applied to all of those details like this, as you can see, what we're going to do now, we're going to take some thinned down Castellax Bronze. I'm going to paint this over the top of the engine block because we want these to be quite dark, but we don't want it to be too similar to the amount of gold that there's going to be on this miniature. You might be thinking, hey, it can't be that much gold, but trust me, looking at the product photography on the website, there's a whole lot of gold. So we're just going to be getting this Castellax Bronze all over these engine blocks, just so that there's enough variation in the model. So with that Castellax Bronze applied to those engine blocks, what we're now going to do is we're going to shade all of the metallics using some of the new Targor Rageshade. We're just going to slather this on all over to give us this lovely, dark, slightly grimy, industrial look. So with that Targor Rageshade applied to all of those metallics, what we're now going to do is we're going to work on the red. Now, pretty much all of the remaining armor panels are red. Now there's a ton of gold as mentioned, but pretty much all of it is red. There's actually, looking at the box art, no black panels on there at all. So that makes our life very interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the new Baal Red, and we're just going to take this and we're just going to start painting this all over all of our red armor panels. Baal Red is a single pigment contrast paint, so you don't want to layer on too much at once, but you don't really have to worry too much about leaving large dark pools with this colour. You just have to worry about how much you've got on your brush. So whilst you can be a little bit cavalier in your application, do just make sure you're not layering it on too thick, because if you do that, you'll create some problems for yourself later on. But as you can see, it goes on nice and smooth. Gorgeous. So with all of that Baal Red applied, you should have a very, very red Dreadnought, but it's a little bit flat. So what we're going to do now is we're going to shade it. The colour we're going to be using is the new Agrax Earthshade. It's been reformulated for our pleasure. And we're just going to start painting this all over the top of all of our red. Now, when you're doing the kind of smaller areas like the feet like this, it's quite absolutely fine to just take it straight from the pot, because it goes on nice and smooth, as you can see, like that, giving us this beautiful tone of dark red that we definitely want for our Horus Heresy era Blood Angels. However, when it comes to doing the slightly larger areas, you might find it a little bit easier to just thin it down just a little bit with either some water or some contrast medium. Just something to help you get it on nice and smooth and avoid any drying lines. As you can see, quite a small amount of the Agrax Earthshade goes quite a long way. Now if it is a little bit patchy, don't worry, because we're going to do something after this just to bring that colour back up again. So with that done, you should have this beautifully shaded Blood Angels red all over. My goodness me, it looks fantastic. However, what we're going to do now, as I promised, is if you've got any kind of slightly patchiness, or you want to just brighten them up just a little bit or enrich the colour, whatever you want to do, what you want to do is you want to take some Mephiston Red, you want to thin it down with 4 or 5 parts water, or you can use a medium, depends on your preference. So we're basically creating this Mephiston Red glaze. It's nice and thin, as you can see there on my thumbnail. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to start applying this over the top of the flats of our panels and anywhere that we want to smooth out. So for example, just here on the shin, we're just going to start applying this. Just like that. To enrich that colour just a little bit. Just like that. As you can see, it's already done a fantastic job. So you just want to go around doing this. Well, you don't even have to do this if you don't want to. This is entirely optional. You could just leave it as is. So with that done, we have this beautifully smooth, lovely, enriched red all over. So we're going to leave it there just for now, because what we are going to do now is going to go on to our next major base coat, which is, as mentioned a couple of times already, gold. Now the colour we're going to be using for this is Retributor Armour, and pretty much all of our remaining details, excluding the little paper just here, is going to be gold. They're fancy boys, the Blood Angels. They got a lot of gold. So with that done, it's a lot of gold. I did warn you. What we're going to do now is we're going to take some Black Legion and we're going to apply this to this power cable on the claw. So with that done, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Skeleton Horde. I'm going to apply this to the paper just here on the front. Just like that. So with that done, all of our base coats are now on our Leviathan Dreadnought. So it is now time to add a shade. And this is going to be to all of the gold. And the colour we're going to be using is the new reformulated Reikland Fleshshade. We're just going to start slapping this on over the top of all of our gold details. Just like that. So with that done, we've just got one last base coat to do, and we're going to take some Ork Flesh and we're going to apply this over the top of his eye lenses. Doesn't matter that we're doing it over the top of the red. We're just looking to get a green-black background. So with that done, our Blood Angels Leviathan Dreadnought is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready. However, it is now time to take him to the next level. And we're going to do this by adding some layers and some highlights. Now the colour we're going to be using first is Leadbelcher. I'm going to be using this to add a little bit of variation, a little bit of brightness to all of our silver details. So for example, here on the gun, we're just going to start picking out the barrels whilst just avoiding anywhere where the shade has settled, just like this. Like that sort of thing. We're going to be doing this on the claws, and really just on the claws here, we just want to pick out the whole of the claw. Just like that sort of thing. And then on the exoskeleton, what we're going to do is we're going to just pick out little areas that we want to be a little bit more bright. So for example, just around here on this exhaust block, these little areas like this. We want to basically create two different metallics here. Just to create all that lovely variation. So with that Leadbelcher applied in all of these places, around the model. As you can see, we've really brightened up our metallics. They're looking pretty good. But what we're going to do now is we're going to add a dry brush of Ironbreaker. I'm going to start very gently applying this all over all of our silver. We're also going to do this over the top of the Castellax Bronze as well. Around here. So with that done, the majority of our silver is now finished, as is the Castellax Bronze at the back here. But what we're going to do is we're now going to just work on those blades just a little bit. We're also going to add a little bit of this to the gun as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to use two of the new reformulated shades. We're going to be using Nuln Oil and Agrax Earthshade. If you've seen my How to Paint the Sunz of Horus Leviathan Dreadnought, the plastic boy, you'll know exactly what we're going to be doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these at the same time. And we're going to load up our brush with some Nuln Oil. And then we're going to pick a blade to start. And I'm going to start on this one just here. And we're going to layer this Nuln Oil over the top of the blade like that. We're going to give the brush a quick wash. We're going to grab some Agrax Earthshade, and then whilst it's still wet, we're just going to add this towards the base of the blade, just like that. That's actually perfect, so we don't really need to do very much to it, but what we can do is we can just grab a little bit more Nuln Oil and just blend the two together a little bit. Like that, just to create a little bit of definition and a little bit of difference in the blades. And then we just want to do this on all sides, on all of them. So we'll do it again. So here's the Nuln Oil. Like that. Grab a little bit of Agrax. And add that towards the base of the blade. Just going to use a clean brush this time, just to move those paints together, like that. Perfect. Similarly on the guns, what we're going to do is we're going to take the Nuln Oil just towards the base of the barrels, well, across the barrels. We're going to add the Nuln Oil like that. Wash the brush and grab a little bit of Agrax. Just add that in there. Like that, just to create a little bit of variation in our weapon metallics. And so with that done, what we're now going to do is going to once again take some Ironbreaker and we're going to use this to highlight the blades. Make them look nice and sharp. Give some real structure to them as well. Like that sort of thing. So with that done, all of the silver is now finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on the gold next. We're not going to do the red just yet. So what we're going to do with all the gold is on the large flat panels is we're going to relayer it using, once again, Retributor Armour. So for example, just around here on these large bits of trim, we're just going to start applying this Retributor Armour everywhere where that Reikland Fleshshade hasn't settled. So we're just going to avoid the little rivets, but otherwise you just want to start doing this, make it nice and bright. And so with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to highlight all of our gold We're going to be using a roughly 2-part Stormhost Silver to 1 part Retributor Armour mix to do this. And we're just going to start picking out all of the edges with this mix. It gives a really nice, bright and shiny edge. Just like this. So with that done, it's now time to add some highlights to the red. And the first one we're going to add is Evil Sunz Scarlet. And we've just got some thin down on our palette here, and what we're going to do is we're just going to start picking out all of the edges and all of the rivets all the way around the model. This is going to take the longest time. But it's absolutely worth it. So with that Evil Sunz Scarlet applied to all of our edges all the way around, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Fire Dragon Bright. We're going to use this as our little spot highlight. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick out areas such as the little rivets, just like this. Not quite sure what I'm missing that with. There we go. And we're also going to pick out the sharpest edges and corners of our model. So one thing that we do want to do, for example, across these little areas, I'll add a little Fire Dragon Bright just going across the middle, just like that type of thing. Same around the gorget, for example. Well, not the gorget, around this kind of little area here. And here. Like that sort of thing. So you just want to take it quite steady as you do this. This bit is kind of optional, but it really does make these details start to sing. So just take your time here. So with that done, our Blood Angels Leviathan Dreadnought is very nearly finished. We've just got 2 things left to do. It's the eye lenses and all of the gems. Now, the eye lenses we've already done with green, and there is one more green lens, and that's going to be this little sight just here on the Storm Cannon. However, the rest of the gems, so the 3 just here on the gorget, this one here on the helmet, this one here, this tiny little one just here, these 3, that one, there's a lot of gems. What we're going to do is we're going to do them as red. Now the colour we're going to be using for this is Blood Angels Red. And we're just going to take some of this on our brush. I'm going to very carefully now apply this over the top of our golden gems. Just like that. Like that. So with that Blood Angels Red applied, whilst we're just waiting for that to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Ork Flesh once again. I'm going to apply this over the top of our little sight just down here. Like so. So with that done, what we're now going to do, we're going to work on darkening down some of these slightly larger gems. And the colour we're going to be using for that is Ratling Grime. And what we want to do, for example, take a small amount of this on our brush and just on the gem itself, basically want to cover over the majority of the gem, ignoring a bit of red towards the bottom right corner. Just like that, leaving essentially a red highlight. Same again, we'll do it up here. And so with that done, we then want to take some Fire Dragon Bright and we want to apply this as a little highlight around that bottom right corner. Around each of our gems, just like that. So with that Fire Dragon Bright applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Moot Green. I'm going to use this to add a little highlight to the underside of each of the lenses. Just like that. And so with that done, our final thing to do is to add a little dot of Corax White to all of our shininess. So what we're going to do is on all of our red gems, just add a little dot at the top of each one like that. Whereas on the eye lenses, we're going to add one in the rearmost corner. Like that.
And so here we have it. Our Blood Angels Leviathan Dreadnought is now finished. He's been sat in my cupboard for I think a couple of years now, and he's finally finished. Baal Red make this so easy. I'm really looking forward to doing some stuff like Baal Predators or even the Spartan Assault Tank with Baal Red, because my goodness me, it just made the process so much quicker and easier, and I'm just flabbergasted by how brilliant this new paint is. Really happy with the scheme, and I can't wait to get this guy out on the tabletop. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you want to support me further like these legends and bosses on the screen before you, you can do so. Head to patreon.com/Warhipster or head to ko-fi.com/Warhipster. Alternatively, you can now become a YouTube channel member by heading to the channel page and clicking on the join button just here, exactly like these awesome folks have done. And if you just want to shoot me a little thanks just because you really love this video, you can click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.